Hi friends, and welcome back to Rustic and Lace DIY. As many of you know, I have a very busy time in my life at this moment, so I decided to do a part 2 of my farmhouse compilation video that I shared last week. So here are some different ones, so enjoy this walk through memory lane, and with all that being said, let's get to crafting. And of course I start off by taking the hangers off of those signs. I use my Waverly chalk paint in the color plaster, and I just paint the back of that sign. Now I don't paint all of it because I know some of it's going to be covered up, but I was just at the end of that bottle of paint, so I just put on as much as I could get out, and then painted mostly the top portion that's going to be not covered. And then when it is done, I can't remember what I did. If you hear any background noise, I am sorry. I am having to record this in my living room, so you may hear the dogs or the husband or, who knows what else. So there I was just measuring out where I needed those smaller paint sticks. And I showed 2 here, but I actually ended up using 3. So I cut them down to the size I needed, and I take that Waverly Antique Wax, and I'm using a baby wipe to just smear it onto those paint sticks. And I did that to all 3 of the smaller paint sticks as well as the larger paint sticks. And I just do it on one side. I didn't do it on both sides. And then once those were drying, I took that Fix-All super glue from the Dollar Tree, and I am just going to put that along those ridges of the corrugated metal sign. And I do most of it with that super glue, and then I'm going to use some hot glue on the bottom. And we know that hot glue doesn't really like metal, but it was mainly there to keep it in place while I was adding the sticks to this sign. So once I had that attached, I set it aside, and I guess I don't set it aside. I grab my small paint sticks, and I am just hot gluing them on to that board, one at the top, one above the corrugated sign, and then one below on that little rounded area of the sign that was poking out from underneath that corrugated sign. And then after that, I took the 2 5-gallon stir sticks, and I'm going to use wood glue, and I attach it with wood glue, and then of course I'm going to put some clamps on there to keep it together. And then I let that sit overnight before I took the clamps off. And then once I get those all in place and clamped, I will do the other side the same way. And then I took this sign that I got from the Dollar Tree. It's a wall decal, and I took out the laundry, and as you see there, it was kind of crooked, and then it ripped when I was taking it off, but no problem because I was able to put it right back together. So I just was able to take that off, straighten it out, and then add the ripped part right where it belongs, and you can't even tell it ripped. And so I'm just gonna stick that onto the wood board, and the Y just kind of overlapped that paint stick a little bit. And then I'm going to take the bottom part of that sign. It says sort tomorrow, wash later, dry soon, fold, maybe, and iron, get real. I hate ironing, so I loved that sign. I thought it was funny. And then I let it set, and then the next day I took some of those clothespins, and I just used the Waverly wax on them like I did with the paint sticks, and then I'm hot gluing them on to the wood paint stick. And then I decided they needed a little something more, so I added some jute twine bows to each one of those. I'm just hot gluing them on there. And then, of course, I trimmed down the legs, didn't want them too long. And then once I did that, I took some of this burlap ribbon that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I'm hot gluing one on the top and then one on that middle painter stick. And then I put a bow at the top as well. I just thought it needed just a little something else. And I love this ribbon. They have a couple designs on it, and I just love them. I just think they're so cute. And then once that was done, oh, something I didn't show, I guess, was I did do a little distressing along that sign as well with the antique wax. And then here I just took some jute twine and tied some knots on the ends, and then I'm hot gluing them to the back of that sign so that it can be a hanger. And then I took this bag and cut it down to size, and I'm hot gluing it to the back so that it covers that Easter sign. And then once I did that, that was that for that project. And then we have a cute little laundry room sign. And these items that I created today, they're not for any specific reason. Like I said before, it was just some things that I've been wanting to make for a while. And I finally did. Oh, I can't believe it. I thought I edited this part out, but I guess not. So here I am just trimming down some of that bag. And I'm sorry, you guys. I thought I had cut this out. So who knows what happened.
And there it is. I love how this came out. And this is still hanging in my laundry room as of today. You have to let me know what you think about this in the comment box below.
And I saw, if you haven't seen She's So Crafty do this yet, you'll have to check her out. I'll put a link to that video in my description box. But I started off by using that fix-all glue, and I just put it all around the bottom part of that candle holder and attached it to the candlestick. And then I took some of these race car tracks, and I used my heat gun, and I just put it on it for a little bit to kind of help soften that plastic so it would bend a little easy. But you want to be careful you don't make it be a little crooked there. So then I took some hot glue and I hot glued this on. Now, something in my gut told me not to use hot glue. I even asked my husband what he thought. He thought it would work, but I just kept thinking I shouldn't use hot glue, and I shouldn't have, because it only temporarily worked. So once I get this all hot glued on, I do hot glue the tops together as well. Then I took these round pieces that I got off of Facebook Marketplace, these little wood pieces, and I glued 2 of them together, and then I'm going to hot glue them to the top of the top race car track there. And then once I get that on, I have these little dowel caps that I got from Walmart, and I'm just tracing. I measured it out where I wanted it, and I traced it, and then I'm going to hot glue that onto the top as well. Then I took some of these half beads. I think I had 10 on each side, and I'm just going to hot glue them all the way down each row of those tracks. Then I went out to spray paint it, and this is what happened. It totally came apart. I was so frustrated. I was almost in tears. So after spending, I don't know, half hour or so pulling off all the hot glue off the candlestick holder and the race car tracks, then I took some super glue and my accelerant that I have, and I put the super glue actually on the candle holder as well as the bottom of those race car tracks. And then I just sprayed it with that accelerator and held it there for about 10 seconds, and it stuck really good. So if you're going to try this, I would recommend not using hot glue, but use super glue. And I will put a link to that accelerant in my description box as well. Then once that was all done, I went and respray painted it because I had marks everywhere on it. And then what I'm doing here is I took a small brush because I could still kind of see a little bit of that orange in the crevices. And I just took that small paintbrush and just kind of filled in those crevices with some white chalk paint. Then I used my Elephant Waverly chalk paint, and I am going to do some distressing all over the beads, the racetracks, the candlesticks, the top, everything, just because I like the distressing. Now, my mom wants me to make her one and not do any distressing because she doesn't like distressing. So hers will be just plain white. So you can do whatever you like. But if you do recreate this, I would suggest maybe painting inside the crevices with some white paint before you add those little beads. It would make it a little easier, I believe. And then add the beads and then take it all out and spray paint it. So then once I get done with all of this distressing, I think I took some, I believe it's eucalyptus that I got from, I think it was Amazon. And I honestly don't remember if it's eucalyptus or if it is the boxwood. But they come apart and you can attach them. So I'm just making like a ring with them. And I stuck one of my candles, not the real candles, but the fake candles in there. And then I am just going to wrap
that greenery around the candle plate, and there it is. I love how this came out. It's so simple but yet so sweet. I have this in my bedroom on my nightstand and I just love it. I love decorating it for each season. It's so much fun. You'll have to let me know what you think about this in the comment box below. So I'm going to start off by removing that label and then giving it a good sanding with my finger sander. That way the paint will adhere a little bit better. Once I had that all wiped off, I took my Waverly chalk paint in the color ink and I give that edge a good painting. I'm just painting the rim of it and then just a little bit on the inside just to make sure that it's covered in case my cutting of fabric isn't very good, which sometimes happens. So after I had this all painted and dried, I did go over it with some Mod Podge as well. But then I also painted this rooster with the same black, and I did cover both the pan and the chicken or rooster with Mod Podge to help protect it from chipping off of that metal. Then I just trimmed down this material, and then I am cutting out this little piece that is on this. It says Happy Chicken. I can't tell what it says. Something farm. Dream Farmhouse? I don't know. I can't tell. I think that's what it is. I can't read upside down. Anyways, I'm going to use this to put onto that rooster. So I'm taking this Mod Podge for fabric and I am just putting a good coat all over the inside of this pan. Now they make this Mod Podge super thick, and I'm guessing it's because, you know, fabric is usually a little thicker, so they make it thicker, I'm guessing, so that it will adhere better or soak through that material a little bit better. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but that's just what I'm guessing. But anyways, once I had that all on there, I'm just going to add my material on there. And you guys, I felt like I was really making a pizza because here I am stretching it out and pulling it all up to the edge, just like you would do with a pizza crust. But once I have this all on there, then I'm going to take some more of that Mod Podge and I'm putting it on top of the rooster there. And then I'm going to add that little piece on the front. And then once I let them dry for a few minutes, I did cover them with regular Mod Podge as well. Then I'm taking this Hippo hot glue gun that was sent to me by Hippo to try out, and I am adding my little tumbling tower blocks onto my pizza pan. Now you'll see me here kind of trying to see where it's all going to sit, and that's mainly because I wanted to make sure that the little holes on top of the rooster had the black tumbling tower blocks behind it, just to kind of help disguise those little holes a little bit. So once I had those all on there, I'm going to take some super glue, since we are working with metal here, and I'm going to use some super glue on the top part of those tumbling tower blocks and then my hot glue on the bottom part. And then once I have that all on there, I'm going to put my rooster right on top. After that, I'm going to take this hot glue gun and add some hot glue, and I'm just going to put in every few inches, I put a little dab of hot glue, and then I'm going to just add this beautiful ribbon that I got from Amazon. I just love this, I went to go order more the other day and it's out of stock, and I'm so bummed because I really love this and I'm running out and I need more. It is in my Amazon store and hopefully it comes in stock really soon because I'm getting really low. So anyways, once that was all on there, then I am going to take these half beads that I also got from Amazon, and I'm hot gluing them onto the pan as well. Now that compass there, I did measure them to be about 3 inches apart. And so here I'm just adding a hot glue to the beads, and then I thought, you know what, it'd be easier if I just put hot glue on the pan. That way I know right where I had them marked. So anyways, once I had them hot glued, I'm just taking this ribbon I got from Amazon. It is in my Amazon store, and I'm making a bow. I just made the awareness ribbon, scrunch it up and tie some twine around it. Now this ribbon is kind of hard to make bows out of because it is stiff and thick, and so it's kind of hard to get to, I don't know, to form correctly. But once I was done, I took some of this boxwood and I just stuck it in between the ribbon and that twine, and then I took the legs of that twine and I'm just tying a knot around the boxwood to give it extra support. Then I'm going to hot glue that bow to the top, and then I'm going to add one of these half beads right in the middle of that bow. I'm going to add some jute rope to the back for a hanger using my hot glue. I'd recommend a stronger glue, but to make it a little stronger, I added some hot glue and some of that ribbon ends, and there it is. I love how this is, or how this came out, and this I have in my kitchen up above my cabinets, and I love it. I hope you do too. Let me know in the comment box below. So I'm going to start off by painting that MDF piece with my ink, and then I went over all of those letters with my antique wax. After they were all dry, I also took some of those little cubes from Dollar Tree and covered them with the antique wax, and I am just going to hot glue 2 of them behind each letter, just like you see me doing here. Now I had them all laid out on top of that MDF piece because I was trying to figure out exactly how I wanted to lay them and where they were going to all go. So after I had the little blocks on my H here, I'm just adding some wood glue on the bottom of those blocks, and then I'm just going to use my hot glue and run it along the bottom of that H, just like you see. And I'm going to hot glue it to where I'm going to glue it to where the little cubes are right at the edge of the back of that MDF piece. And I did the same thing with the M, and I'm going to do the same thing with the E. I started again with the E because I wanted to work from the ends to the middle. And then after I have this done, I'll add the flower. Did you notice my brand new heat gun or glue gun? My other one finally died on me. I know I was having problems with it. I thought I fixed it, but the other day when I was doing the collage, I was trying to use it and it wasn't wanting to push out the glue. So I have a new one. Okay, so here I'm adding the blocks for the flower, and I was just using my finger there to, I kind of measured it with where I was going to put it, and I used my finger to measure where to put those blocks. The flower I did bring up a little bit forward. I did bring up all the way forward, and you'll see why when I add it. So I'm just doing the same to the E and the M that I did with the H. I'm just adding the wood glue, and then I'm just adding the hot glue along the bottom of my letters there, and then just adding that to where the cubes touch right at the end or the back end of that sign or the MDF piece. So here I'm using super glue gel. I'm putting it on the cube, and then I'm just seeing where I'm going to have my petals that are overlapping on that MDF piece, and I added them, and I was going to spritz. I'm using my accelerator, and usually you spritz it once you attach both, but that wasn't working. So I just spritzed the back of my petals, and then I just used my fingers to hold it down, and it gets hot. So I could tell it was working because my metal was getting a little hot, not to where it was burning, but I could tell it was working. And then I just wiped off the excess of that accelerator. Now I have that accelerator in my Amazon store if you're interested in checking it out. Then I took some of this buffalo check ribbon, and I'm just going to hot glue it along the base here. I'm just putting some hot glue in different areas just to keep that ribbon tacked down. And then I was able to just kind of bring that ribbon kind of up under that flower a little bit, where before the glue was attached to the flower and the
the wood piece or MDF piece. And then I'm just going to finish hot gluing that on.
Then I made a bow, and I was going to put it down below, but I decided instead to put it right in the middle of my flower. So I'm just going to use my super glue, and then this is my accelerant, and spray that in there so that it sticks to that metal. And that's all there was. I do have that accelerant in my Amazon store if you're interested in checking that out. But I love how this came out. It is so pretty. I hope you do as well.
So I took off the hanger there, and then I'm just going to cut out my napkin. Now, one of the things that I love about their napkins is most of their napkins have the 4 sides have the same design. So if you get one napkin, it's like getting 4 designs. I love it. And they're not expensive at all. So after that, I'm just kind of measuring where I'm going to have my chicken, and I'm just kind of going to place my painter's tape right so that I can have the bottom part white, because we know if you paint it a different color, it's not going to show through as much. In fact, my original thought was to keep it, not paint the bottom part, but then I thought, oh, then you're not going to see the chicken as well. It's not going to stand out as well. So I went ahead and used my painter's tape to tape it all off. And then I'm going to paint the bottom part with my white and the top part with my ink color. After it was all painted and dried, I took my napkin and I'm just going to fussy cut all the way around my chicken. Now, I thought about using the water brush technique, but I didn't want any of that gray. I wanted just the chicken itself. So that's why I'm going around and I am cutting all the way around this. And you guys, I have my video sped up a lot on this part. That's how slow I was cutting because it doesn't look very fast there. So after he was all cut out, I just took the decoupage napkins .com. Their napkins always have 2 plies behind the one picture. So I took both plies off, and then I'm just kind of placing this where I want to lay it. Oh, I don't know if I showed this. I added Mod Podge once it was all dry. I don't know what happened. I thought I showed that. And I let the Mod Podge dry on my cutting board. And now I'm just using my parchment paper and my heat press to reactivate that Mod Podge. And look how cute that is. Then I went and covered it again with some more Mod Podge just to help protect that napkin so it doesn't tear or rip. I love it. I just think it's so cute. If I would have had a word that said hello, I would have probably put that on there because it looks like he's saying, hey, what you doing? So I just use my little finger sander to sand off all the excess napkin on the end there. And then I took my Farm Fresh sign here and I'm using my antique wax. I'm just going to brush it all on, and then I'm going to wipe it off with my paper towel there. And that's all there is for that one. It's super, super easy. I love the antique wax. I don't know. I love that wood look. And then after I have that all done, I am going to use my wood glue and my hot glue to attach this to the top part of my cutting board on right in that black area, the area that was painted black. And after that, I know I'm taking a while. I should have maybe cut some of this out. I'm sorry. I say that every video. I should have cut some of this out. Oh, well, anyways, once I have this all on there, look how cute that is. I took some of this braided jute cord and I'm going to hot glue it just along where the white and black paint meet. Just like you see me doing there. It's just given a little bit more dimension, a little bit more interest. And I love it. I love that chicken. It is just cracks me up every time I look at it. And you know, so funny, I almost didn't get this napkin because I thought it just looked so busy with those eggs. But when you cut that chicken out, oh my gosh, it is just adorable. Anyways, I'm going to take some more of that cord and I'm going to hot glue it to the back. And I'm going to wrap it around. I think I wrapped it around that neck about 3, maybe 4 times. And then I did use my lighter to burn off some of the fuzzies, and I used some tumbling tower blocks. Did I show that? I don't remember. Maybe I did. I hot glued them to the back of this so that it would stand up, and that's all there was for this one. But I absolutely love this one too.
And there it is. I just love this. I love that chicken. It is so funny. It cracks me up. You have to let me know what you think about this one too. So like I said, I've been wanting to use this for a while, but I didn't want it to be hanging. And so I got an inspiration from, oh, I can't think of the channel name. I'll have it in my description box. She did something similar to this, and I thought, oh, that's great. So I started after that, well, I painted my vase there white, and then while it was drying, I painted those blocks with my ocean, and then I'm just using some hot glue to add these on. Now, if that's for video purposes, if you recreate this, I would recommend using something stronger like super glue or E6000. So then I laid these pieces out where I wanted them, and I'm using my Fix All glue and a little bit of hot glue for that immediate hold, and I'm just putting them back in place where I have them laid. And then once I had them all on, I took my antique wax and another paper towel, and I am just going to rub all over this whole piece, including the hanger itself. And then I do some on the inside too. I just wanted it all to match. And then after that, I am going to take some of this twine and hot glue this all the way around the opening and just the front piece as well. After I was done with that, I took some of this ribbon. I got this from Hobby Lobby last year. I love this ribbon. And I'm just making a little bow, doing the awareness ribbon, scrunching it up with some twine in the middle, tying a knot in the twine, and then fluffing and dovetailing. And once I had it all done and ready, I'm just going to hot glue it to the top there. And then I'm going to fill it up with some of my boxwood greenery from Walmart. I love this stuff, but and some other greenery there, but you can always fill it with whatever you want if you recreate it. And there it is. So much fun. I love that it's not hanging. You have to let me know what you think as well. So I'm going to start off by taking the hearts off of these signs. And then I am actually going to use the back as the front. So I'm removing the hanger here. They were just stapled on. And then after that, I'm going to add these jumbo popsicle sticks. I'm using some wood glue and hot glue. And I just went, I think I had like 5 or 6 all the way up the back side, which was the front side. Now is the back side, just so that it connects them all together. Excuse me. And then after that, I paint the whole what is now the back or front white. And then I'm just taking these sticks and I'm just kind of measuring the sizes that I need. And then I'm going to use my miter shears, and I am going to cut them all down to the size that I need. And then once I have them all cut down, here I'm just kind of, I knew I needed a top and a bottom the same size, so I just used that other stick to measure. And then once I had them all cut out, I'm using my chalk paint in the color Elephant, and I painted them all with that elephant gray color. And then I'm just using, again, my wood glue and hot glue, and I am gluing them all down in place to make like a frame. And then I took another one, and this one is going in the middle, well, kind of in the middle of the door. We're making a barn door here. And then I am just making them, cutting the ends to be at an angle. And I'm sorry this isn't in view where I cut them. The board was kind of big for my table. But I'm just using my miter shears there. You can move the little knob around to cut at an angle. You could probably see it a little bit better there. And so then I realized, okay, I have to cut them straight on these so that they don't go over the one that's already laying there. So just like you see there, and just connect it. So once I had them all cut out and fitting like they were supposed to, I'm going to glue them down with that wood glue and hot glue, just like I did before. And then after that, I took some more elephant chalk paint, and I'm just doing my distressing. Figured this time I remembered to do it before I added my decal. And then here I am just burnishing this decal onto my top portion of my barn door. And I will try to remember to, I think I did save this, so if I did, I will have a link to it in my description box. And if it doesn't work, please let me know. I'm still learning how to do all of this kind of stuff. And so if it's not working, I need to know so I can figure it out correctly. But I think I know how to do it. So then I took one of these door handles that I got off of Amazon, and I just used some super glue and hot glue and glued it on. Then I just took one of these small wreath forms from the Dollar Tree, and I am just adding some boxwood greenery to it, and I'm just tying it down with some floral wire. And then once I had it all on there, I just took my bow, made the awareness ribbon, scrunch it up, and I am just using some twine to keep it in place. And after looking at this, I kind of think I might go back where I add this bow and add a little bit more boxwood. It looks a little flat on top. But I'm just going to add this. I'm going to get a zip tie and put it behind that bow, in between the bow and the twine that I used. And then I'm just going to add that to the top part of that wreath form. And then I'm going to use hot glue and glue this onto my door. Now, I would recommend a more strong glue than hot glue, but that was for video purposes. I took some shipping paper from Dollar Tree, and I'm just gluing this to the back of my sign to cover it all up, and then I trimmed it down, and there it is. I even have this in my kitchen as well, above one of our cabinets. Ah, it's so farmhouse. I love it. Yep, let me know what you think of this as well. So I started off by taking that little sign. It was just made off cardboard off the front. It was just hot glued on. And then the back unscrews. And so I took it off because, I figure I could use that on something else that's not needed. So I painted everything white there. I painted the sign, the window, the blocks, the terracotta pots, and then this little wood piece. I'm going to use this instead of that cardboard piece that I took off. So I painted them all white. And here I'm just using my elephant gray to do some distressing. So I distressed that plaque. I distressed all of the 4 blocks. I distressed the little mini pots, and then I'm going to do the windows. And when I did the windows, I'm not going to show you this, but I actually went and did all in between each little crevice there. It took me a little while to get it all done. But once it was all dry, I'm just taking some super glue here, and then I'll take a little bit of hot glue, and I'm just putting it around on different areas of this windowsill so that vellum paper can stick and stay in place. So you see there, I just did the super glue. Here I'm doing some hot glue, and then I'm just going to place it there. And then once I am done with that, I have to pull off the excess glue there. I am going to take my decal, and I realized, oh my goodness, this is too big. And I had sized this to the little cardboard thing that we took off the front of the window, so that's why it wasn't fitting right. So I just cut my transfer paper a little bit, and then I am just putting it closer together, and it works out just fine. So after that, I am going to use some super glue and hot glue and attach that sign. Here I'm doing it right in the middle. I did have to remove it, and luckily I did it before it adhered too much and brought it up a little bit because it was a little too low and my flower pot was covering it. So then I am taking these stickers and I am just putting them on to the front of these blocks. Now, I did not do Mod Podge over it. I wanted to do Mod Podge over these letters just to make sure they stay on well, and I forgot. So I do want to go back and do that before I put it up in my kitchen, but I would recommend that too because they're sticky but not real sticky. So then I'm just using some wood glue and again some hot glue, and I am just gluing those blocks all together so that they spell home. And then after that, I'm going to take that window frame and I'm going to use hot glue. I was going to do wood glue and hot glue and I forgot, but it's pretty sturdy.
I was thinking I could probably put a popsicle stick behind it too to keep it adhered if I need to. And then I'm just going to cut some of this floral foam really small, and I'm just sticking a little bit of hot glue on it. Not much because you don't want it to eat it away. And then I'm just sticking them in the pots. That way I have something for the flowers to stick into. And then I just cut down all these little wildflower stems, and I actually ended up not having to cut them. I just pulled them off of the stems and then just started sticking them into the flower pot. And then I got some lavender and just kind of cut them down too and added them as well. And then here I am adding a little super glue and hot glue to the bottom of the pots. Sorry, guys. And then I am just adhering them to the top of those blocks.
Again, using super glue and hot glue. And then I'm going to take this twine. I'm going to just wrap it around my hand, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. I don't think I counted. And then I'm just going to take the ends and wrap it around the middle to make it look like a bow. I took one end, wrapped one way, and then the other end I wrapped the opposite direction, then tied knots around it and glued it in the front. I made 3 of those in front of each pot, and I so love this. And this, again, this is above my kitchen cabinets. I love it so much. So I start off by removing the hangers from the signs, laying them side by side, and then I'm using my craft sticks here with some wood glue and then some hot glue to connect them to make them one piece. And once I have that all done, I am going to take my ruler and a pencil, and I'm just tracing out some lines about a half an inch from the end, and I go all the way around my sign and do that because I want to create a border. So as soon as I have this all done, I took my paint tape here and I am laying it along those lines, and then I do that all the way around the sign. And then once that is done, I am going to paint it, the middle part, with my plaster chalk paint along with that other sign there. I'm going to paint the whole thing with the plaster. I did have to do the sign the small one, the middle, but a couple of times to cover that picture. Then once it was dry, I took my tape here and I moved it over, and then I added the antique wax all around the edge. And then I'm just using the antique wax all around the frame of the small picture, just like you see there. And I just taped it off in the middle because I am a very messy painter, and if I didn't do that, I could guarantee you I would have had it all over the inside of my picture. So then once that was done on this frame, I took a paper towel and I just wiped off the excess to it. And then but I did not do that to the big picture. Then I took that antique wax and I went over all 3 animals with the wax, just like you see me doing here. And then once I had them all covered, I'm just going to use my paper towel again to wipe off all the excess wax. Now, I know, you guys, that farmhouse doesn't necessarily mean decor, doesn't necessarily mean farm animals. And I don't know what it is, but I must really love the farm animals because whenever I do farmhouse, I always want to include the animals. So if you're tired of seeing the animals, I'm sorry. I will try to do some without. We do have another farmhouse video coming up in the beginning of June, but I can't promise you that I will not have animals. But I'll try. Okay, so I took my decal here. It says The Breakfast Club, and I'm just adding it to my little sign. And then I'm going to take some wood glue here and some hot glue, and I'm adding it all around those pumpkins, and then I'm going to add my sign. I was just trying to figure out there about how far I wanted to go with my glue. And then I'm going to add this plus the hot glue to add my sign. And I saw on Pinterest a sign, it had some chickens and it said The Breakfast Club. And this just kind of gave me this idea, and I thought, how fun would this be? So after I have this sign done, I'm going to start using wood glue and hot glue on my animals as well. And I just think this is so fun. This would be a great sign for your kitchen. It could be for anywhere, but I think this would be a great kitchen sign. Anyway, so taking my sweet time here. I'm just going to use the hot glue all around the edge of my animals. And then I'm just going to add it to the top of my picture. And I did this to all of the animals with the wood glue and the hot glue. Then I'm going to take my decals and I'm going to put eggs right next to the chicken, because, you know, we like to have eggs for breakfast. And then I'm going to put bacon right next to the pig, because you got to have bacon with eggs, right? And then I'm going to put milk by the cow. Now, I thought about putting them on the animals themselves, but the chicken had the wings and stuff on there that would have made it kind of hard to put eggs. So I put them on the side. So if you have some animals that don't have the little raised areas on them, you could do it on the animals themselves. Then I took some twine here. I took my braided jute cord that I get from Amazon, and I just hot glued it all the way inside that sign. And then I'm doing a finger bow, and I think I wrap my fingers 4 or 5 times. I don't remember. But once I wrap it, or I wrap my fingers, I'm going to take that that end piece, wrap it around those loops that are on my finger, and then I'm going to come up around and go through the bottom of that middle loop and pull tight. And I keep my fingers in there, and I kind of use my thumb to help pull that tight. I press my thumb against that knot as I'm pulling, and then just trim it off. And I made 2 of those, and I'm going to hot glue 1 on each end. Then I'm going to make a hanger with that same jute cord. I'm going to staple it into the back for a stronger, more permanent hold. And I think that's all there was for this. There it is. I love this. The Breakfast Club. So much fun. I hope you enjoyed this one as well. I started out by cutting along the round, this outer, I don't know what you call it, the outer ring of this middle piece, I guess. But it ended up still being too big. So I did end up having to cut all around that rooster on the inside part of the red part of that sign. I had to cut it down just even a little bit more than that. So once I had it to the right size, I went around the middle part with my Mod Podge, and I'm just going to cover it all with my Mod Podge, and then I'm going to add my rooster sign here to it, and there you go. And then once I had that all on and smoothed out, I'm just going to cover it with Mod Podge again, and then I set it aside to dry. And I did not normally, when I do this, I let it dry and then add my picture and then do my heat press. But because the calendar pages are thicker, I didn't think I would need to do it that way, but it did have a few wrinkles. So I just, once it was dry, I went ahead with my parchment paper and my heat press and added the heat press to it. That way it got rid of the wrinkles. Then I took some of this red and tan twine that I got from Dollar Tree, and I hot glued it around my picture right along the edge of the calendar page, but I just felt like it wasn't thick enough. So I went over it a second time. So basically there's 2 layers of the twine, and I'm just hot gluing it all the way around. And then that's all there was. I'm going to cut it off, and that one is done. But then I decided to make a bow. So I took this ribbon. I got this ribbon at the this last fall at Walmart. I think I got this at Christmas time last year at Walmart, or the year before. I'm making 2 bows by doing the awareness ribbon, scrunching them up in the middle. I'm taking some more of that twine, and I'm going to tie it in a knot to keep the shape of the bows. And then I'm going to wrap that extra part of the twine all the way around the middle of my bow here. I just thought it would tie in with the twine that went around the charger. And then I just tied a knot at the back of that and trimmed off the excess. And then I am going to dovetail all 4 of the ribbon tails here. Then I took some boxwood greenery and some lamb's ear and I cut them down, and I'm going to use them on my charger here. And I decided instead of gluing these down, I'm going to, I'm sorry, you guys. I thought I cut that part out. I am going to use a zip tie here from Dollar Tree, and I am going to zip tie those greenery pieces to the back of my bow. That way, when I hot glue it, I can just hot glue one big piece to my charger instead of trying to hot glue all the little pieces together. Then I took these beads and made a hanger with them. I am going to glue them to the back of my my charger here. I would recommend a stronger glue if you recreate this, but I love how this came out. I'm really into roosters and chickens lately. I don't know what it is, but I just think it is so pretty. You have to let me know what you think of it as well. So I'm starting this project off by taking off all the hangers, and then I am just using, I believe I used about 5 of these jumbo craft sticks to connect those 3 boards together. And I'm just using some wood glue and some hot glue. And again, the wood glue is for permanent hold. The hot glue is for the immediate hold. And once I am done with that, I am going to turn it over and paint it with my plaster chalk paint. Although I had too much wood glue here, and you see I had to wipe it off. If you see that little piece of tape on the top, the blue tape, that's because that one board was kind of warped, and I was having a really hard time getting those to line up. As you can see on the right hand side, it's a bigger gap, and that's because that board was warped. So I'm taking my elephant chalk paint after my board was dry, and I am just distressing all around the edge, and then I just real super lightly distress in the middle. And after that, I'm going to put these door hinges on, and I'm just using some super glue, the gel super glue, and I'm just putting that all around the where the holes were not, around the solid areas. That's a better way to say it. And then just glued it onto the front. And then I am just using my transfer tape here to get my wording onto my picture. Now, I don't normally show you guys all of this. I was realizing when I was doing this the other day that maybe you guys like to see this so that you can kind of see how the Cricut works. So let me know in the description box or in the comment box if you would rather me show you more of how I use my Cricut. But to let you know, I do have issues with it, like a lot of people. So if you have issues, don't feel bad, because you're going to see right here, my P was not coming up, and that transfer tape kept sticking to itself. And oh my goodness, I was having a heck of a time, but I finally got it. So after that, I went ahead and used some more of this super glue to connect that back hinge to the back of the sign. After that, I took my sticker dots, and I am painting 8 of them with my Waverly chalk paint in the color ink. And then I'm just going to hot glue them over the holes on those hinges just to cover it up. And I kind of like it with the holes. I probably should have left them alone. It kind of looks cool. But anyways, I did cover them up with those little dots, and it makes it look like nails in there. Then I took that doorknob. My husband went and cut it with the Dremel. I would not recommend using a Dremel to cut it because it ended up breaking the glass. So he said a hacksaw would probably work better to get that screw off. But I just painted it with my elephant chalk paint and then glued it on just like you saw. And then I painted that key with the elephant chalk paint and put it on the front as well. And then I just wrapped the top with some twine about 3 or 4 times. I added a hanger, and then that was all there was for this part. And then I'm going to add a bow to the top part as well. Then I'm going to make a bow doing my awareness ribbon, scrunching it up in the middle, tying some twine around it. And this ribbon came from Dollar Tree. And then I'm going to trim off the ends of that twine. I'm going to dovetail the ends of my ribbon by folding in half and cutting it in at an angle. Sorry that wasn't in frame. And then I'm just going to use my hot glue to glue it onto the corner. And there it is. This is another item that I have above my kitchen cabinets, and I love it. I love that saying. Wall covering stuff from Dollar Tree, and I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, so here I am just kind of measuring it against that cutting board, and then I'm cutting it down to fit on top of the cutting board. And the nice thing about this is it has all those little areas that kind of help you keep cutting in a straight spot. Straight line. Oh my goodness, you guys. Okay, so I'm going to start off by painting that cutting board with my chalk paint in the color plaster. And after that, I painted the little crate as well. I painted all of the sides, except for I didn't paint the back. And then I am painting those little dowels, and I just put them on some painter's tape so that they stuck. And then it's best to, if you try this technique, to paint the bottom first, because it's hard to get the little grooves under the big part of it if you did the big part first. So that's why I started on the bottom. And then I am doing some dry brushing. Now you see me do dry brushing all along that cutting board, and that's only because it was splattering, and I wasn't going to dry brush it, but with the splatters I thought, well, I guess I better. So it's going to be the back part of it anyway. So anyways, I'm just going around that crate and dry brushing it, and then I dry brushed the little feet, and then here I'm just using hot glue, and I removed the backing of this what do they call them? These self-adhesive wall decals. And then I just added it to that hot glue. And then I trimmed it up, and I'm just hot gluing that crate in front of it. I'm using my super glue here again to add this knob to the front of my crate. And a little bit of hot glue on the end for that immediate hold. And then I'm just going to add wood glue and hot glue to the bottom of those dowel caps. Oh my gosh. And I'm using them as the feet. Then I added the styrofoam into this crate, and then I'm just putting some of the boxwood greenery. And then once I had some of the in there, I'm going to add some of these little red flowers from Dollar Tree. And then I'm going to take some of my Waverly chalk paint in the color Elephant and do a little distressing around the sides. And then that's all there is. And I love this. I love that little pop of red in it. And I don't know. I just love it. I have this actually above my kitchen cabinets as well. A lot of these I have in my house. I hope you enjoyed this one as well. So I'm going to start off by cutting off the little, whatever those things are on the end of the fence. They're to connect to the other fences. And then I cut off that stake, and then I'm just cutting right in the middle of the fence. And I'm just using my scissors. It is kind of hard. You see me kind of pressing down with my other hand there. But the biggest thing is you want to make sure you don't go to the side and cut it in half. But they can break easy. So if you try this and you're cutting them, just be really careful, because you can break where it's cutting. I don't know if that makes sense, but just be careful. Anyway, so then I'm taking some of this vinyl from Dollar Tree, and I just measured the width of how wide I want it to be, because it has saying, oh, by the way, I took both the fence and the bucket there and painted them, spray painted them. Sorry. Anyways, I did spray paint them, and then once they were dry, I took this vinyl, and I am just going to put it around to cover up the words. I didn't really want to have the words showing. And so, and it's French for flower garden, I think. Anyway, so once I got that vinyl around both sides, and I'm just taking some rope from Dollar Tree, and I'm just wrapping it around the top part, just kind of covering up the seam. And then I'm going to do the same on the bottom and just wrap around the bottom. And I'm just adding a little bit of super glue here and there just to hold that rope in place. Don't think it's really necessary to go all the way around with the super glue, because it was staying pretty nicely. Once I had them both covered, then I just took some of my ink by Waverly chalk paint, and I am doing dry brushing all around the top and the bottom edges. And then just kind of wherever it was white, I just did a little dry brushing just to give it that older rustic look. And then I went around the vinyl and did the same thing because the white was just too shiny. And then I realized it was kind of pulling up some of the words, so I kind of stopped doing that. But if you recreate this, be careful with that. Anyways, and then I took the garden fence and I am just doing the same thing. I'm just going around and doing a heavy distressing. And there is pointing, there's some little round pieces, and I'm just using my crocodile to poke through those round pieces to make a hole. And then I'm just marking where I want to make the holes in my container there. And I'm using my crocodile to make a hole. And if you've never seen these things are awesome. I love mine because you can poke holes through wood, you can poke holes through metal, as long as it's not too thick. And so I'm just poking my holes here. I do believe I have it in my Amazon store. I'll make sure, but I do believe I have it in there. And then I'm going to use a zip tie, and I'm just going through the holes that I made on the fence and then through the container there. And I'm just going to adhere it with that zip tie. And then I just, once I get it took me a little bit to get it really tight. And then after that, I realized I didn't like the way it was sitting, the ends. So I took some little twine and I put some tape on it so I could thread it through. There's like a kind of a hole there in the corner. And I'm just going to thread it through that hole and then make another little hole with my crocodile on each side. And then I will string that twine through the hole of the container. And then I'm just going to tie it really tight and tie a knot, so that way it kind of curves in a little bit and isn't sticking out kind of funny the way it was. And I do this on both sides. And then once I was done with that, I took some of this pool noodle, cut it in half, and then fit it down into that container. And then I'm just adding these bushes, and that's all there is for this little planter. I'm not done. I forgot. I took some of these little blocks. This comes from like a brain teaser game from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going over them with my ink chalk paste by Waverly chalk paint, and then I'm going to glue them on. I recommend something stronger than hot glue. Usually these will fall off, and I will end up putting like E6000 or something on there. And there it is. I love this. This again is another item above my kitchen cabinets. I love it. And I'm going to paint both the bottle cap and that little planter with my Waverly chalk paint and the color white. But first I decided to use some of my painter's tape and put it over that rope because I am such a messy painter. I knew that if I didn't do that, I would get paint all over it. So I'm just covering it with some painter's tape. And then once they were all painted white and dried, I took some more twine and I'm just going to wrap the bottom part of this as well. I wanted this, actually the bottom part of this planter is going to be the top part, but I just wanted it to kind of match. I wanted to have both the twines on both sides. And so I don't know how many times I wrapped it. I just tried to wrap it until it was about 1.5 inches wide because that's what the top one was. So I wanted it to kind of match that length. So once I was done, I just hot glued the ends to the container there. And then I'm going to hot glue some of that ribbon right along the middle of the jute twine on both the top and the bottom. And I am just going to turn in the edge there so that way it has a nice clean seam. After that, I took some of these rub-on transfers from Dollar Tree, and I am just going to add them on. You take off the backing, you stick it on where your item, and then I'm just using my little scraper there to burnish it into the onto the pail or planter, I guess, and then you take off the plastic piece, and there it is. And you can see it changing. It goes from a dark black to a dark gray. So, and that's, I always just kind of watch, and then when the colors are changing, I know it's ready to lift. And then I added some more of these leaves to it, and then there was a little heart. I went ahead and put the little heart in between the bottom of those leaves as well. And I really love this. I love these raw bond transfers. I don't know how many of these I have, but I think they're so pretty. And then I took some of that ink by Waverly, and I'm just doing some dry brushing. And the spots where it got a little heavy, I did take a little bit of white later and just kind of went over it a little bit just to soften it up. But you know me, I like to do my distressing. And then once I am done with this, I am going to use some, I guess I distressed the bottle cap too. I figured, I need to do that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and distress all around the sides and the top and the bottom. Then I'm marking the center point, trying the best as I can to get it centered. And then once I do that, I am going to use E6000 and hot glue, and I'm going to put it all around the lip of that bottom of the planter there. And E6000 is for the permanent hold, and the hot glue is for immediate hold. And then I'm just going to put it right over the mediums or the middle spot, and then just hold it down. And then after that, I took some Mod Podge and I just covered it with Mod Podge to protect it. Then I took these, oh my goodness, what are they? My mind is going crazy. I can't think of them. You know what they are. Anyways, I got these from Dollar Tree, and I am going to, I took them all out of the little containers they came in, and I'm just snipping the bottoms, and I'm going to use those little styrofoam pieces that were in those containers, and I'm just going to hot glue them on top. And then if I had a little piece of pool noodle that I cut in half, and I'm going to add those as well. Then I will add the succulents into all of the foam that's there. I cut the bottoms down a little bit, and once it's all full, I did add a little hot glue to make sure it stays in. I'm going to take some floral moss. I'm going to glue it right inside of the bottle cap there so that it covers up the bottom part, and I just go all the way around and add a little bit of that floral moss, and this is done. And yes, this is another item I do have up in my house for my normal everyday home decor. And I love it. It's not, I don't know if I would say, maybe it's farmhouse. It's a little farmhouse and a little boho, I guess. Let me know what you think about this one as well. So I start off by removing the hangers, and then I'm going to lay those two wood planks together. I'm going to take my jumbo craft stick, and I'm going to cut them, all three of them, in half, and then I'm going to lay them out all up and down the back of those planks so that we have a way of connecting them together. And I'm going to use my wood glue and my hot glue on those craft sticks, and then do that on each one of them. That way it's attached. After that, I took my white chalk paint and I painted the squares and the plaque white, and then I took my ink and painted the animals with that color as well. Once they were dry, I took my elephant chalk paint, and I am just doing some dry brushing all along, just doing some distressing. And then after that, I'm going to distress the little white squares as well. Now, you may see there's a part that's not painted. That's because I'm going to put vinyl on it. But before I do that, I'm going to take my decal and I'm going to just place it up on the top here. And after I do that, I am going to take the farmhouse word and I'm going to place it on the painted section or the painted side of our sign here. And then once I have this all even, took me a few minutes to get it even, I'm just going to burnish it, and there it is. Then I took my vinyl I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm just placing it right under the wording at the top there. And here I'm just cutting off that extra piece so that way I can just pull the backing right off of that vinyl and then just smooth it in place. And then I just turned it over and trimmed off that extra piece that was hanging there. After that, I took my wood glue, and I'm going to use some hot glue as well, and I'm putting it all around the back of the animals, and I attach them to those wood square pieces. Then after that, I'm going to take my wood plank, and I'm going to do the same thing with the wood glue and the hot glue, and I'm going to attach them onto our sign, one on top of the other. And then when I was done, I just decided I didn't like the way the vinyl and the paint, there was just seemed, I don't know, it just didn't seem right. So I decided to take these bamboo or reed sticks. I can't remember what they're called. I think they're bamboo. I got them from Amazon. They are in my Amazon store, and I just cut them down to size to kind of frame everything out. And I'm just using my wood glue and hot glue again, and then I am just hot gluing them all in place. Now, as you can see, I have that one right there by the word Farmhouse that goes over the vinyl. I'm taking my wood glue and hot glue, and what do? I put them next to the squares instead of over the edging of the vinyl. And I'm like, why isn't this fitting? And then all of a sudden I realized what I did. So I tried to remove it, but it was really attached to the bottom piece there, and I didn't want to rip the vinyl, so I decided to just go ahead and re-glue it and make another strip to place at the edge of the vinyl there. Then I took this black gingham ribbon, and I'm just going to thread it through the holes there to make a hanger. And once I got it all through, I'm just going to tie some knots on the back. And what else do I do? We'll both be surprised. I'm going to, I just put a little dab of hot glue to tack the ends down so you didn't see them standing up. And then I am going to cover the back with some shipping paper. And there it is. This is another item that I have in my, above my kitchen cabinets. I love it. I know a lot of people think Farmhouse is going out of style, but I love it, and I'm not ready for it to go. So I'm starting off by taking one of those wood pieces, and I'm just trimming out, well, not trimming, I'm measuring out where I want to place the door. And I'm using my ruler because I cannot draw a straight line for the life of me. And even with the ruler, I can't draw a straight line half the time. So I'm sitting there measuring to make sure it was all straight. And then I'm going to do the same kind of thing here. I'm just making sure they're all, I think it was about 1/4 inch, I want to say, from the edge. And then I'm going to do some on the bottom as well. And then once I had that all done, I am going to trim it out using my X-Acto knife. And this wood, you guys, is super, super soft. In fact, this lantern turns out to be really light. I probably should have used a thicker wood, which I might recreate one next time doing that. But this is kind of, I wasn't quite sure how to do it. I had a picture in my mind, so this was kind of my template. But anyways, I took some more of these sticks and I'm just cutting them down to size. I want this to look like it has shiplap, but right here I'm just doing this as the trim that goes around the door, but I wanted it also to look like shiplap above it. So after I cut these out, I'm going to use my wood glue and hot glue to glue them in place before I start doing the rest of them, because I wanted these pieces to be still. So then I cut some of these sticks down to the same size, and here I'm just kind of measuring and marking where I want to cut for it to have that barn shape. I'm not a good drawer at all, and it did take me a little bit, but I think it came out pretty cute. But you know, a barn kind of has a flat roof and then angles downward, so that's what I'm trying to create here. And then once I had this all drawn out, I cut them all down with my miter shears, and then I glued them all in with my wood glue and hot glue. After that, I took 2 more of these planks, and I'm using again the wood glue and the hot glue and gluing the sides on. We're going to create a box. And then once I had these 2 pieces on, I took another piece and I cut it in half, And don't ask me why I did it this way, because now that I think about it, I'm not really sure why. I think I was thinking that way it'd be easier to put a candle in it, but I don't put a bottom on this, and so you can just place it on top. So you can do it either way. You could put a full sheet on there or a half sheet like I'm doing, and I'm just doing like I did with the other ones, using the hot glue and the wood glue. And then once I had them all attached and it was looking good, except for that one little piece, I had to add a little bit more hot glue. I decided to start on the roof. So I just took some more of that balsam wood and I'm just cutting pieces down. I didn't care if they were all the same size. I was just kind of trying to go by the front pieces, just trying to fit the angles of that. And so I cut those pieces down based off of those angle sizes, if that makes sense. So once I get this all glued in, I'm again using the wood glue and the hot glue, and I just had that gap right there, so I just added a smaller little piece. And the reason why I didn't care is because I'm going to cover it with the vinyl, but we'll show that in a little bit. But before I did that, I cut down, I had all these small pieces, and I'm just cutting them down to fit underneath, because you know we got to have that shiplap on the bottom too. So these were really, really small pieces, and I think I just used hot glue on these, but once I had them all cut out, I just glued them all in place. And then after that, I took my white chalk paint and painted them all white, and then I painted the trim with the black. So here I also painted or cut out some pieces to make the X on the door, and I'm just going in there and hot gluing those in place on the back side of it. Then I decided to make a little window on the top, so I cut these little pieces all down to make a window and to fit, and I used my miter shears and did the angles on them and everything. And then I cut some really small pieces to go inside to make an X, and I almost didn't glue them because they fit in there so tightly, but when I used my marker to kind of paint them, I decided to go ahead and add a little dab of hot glue and then glued them inside. Then I'm just kind of touching up where I got some black on the white, and after that, this is where I added the roof. I realized, oh, I forgot to do the vinyl on the roof. So I just took pieces of vinyl and I just laid it on top. I cut it down and made sure that they all matched exactly, and then just kind of trimmed them all down to fit. And I love this little barn. It is so cute. I use this. I even use it at Christmas time, put a little wreath on it, dress it up for Christmas. But I love this so much. You have to let me know what you think about this one in the comment box below. So I start off by measuring the vinyl out to fit on top of the canvas frames, and I'm just going to clip them where they need to be cut. The nice thing about this plaid with the lines is that it's easy to cut those areas. And then once I had them all cut out, I just put them on one on each frame, like you see me doing there. After that, I just hot glued 3 of those frames together, and then I took some 1-gallon paint sticks that I had previously cut them down from a previous project, and I just added them to the back for extra support. Then I took some of these reed sticks I got from Amazon. They are in my Amazon store, and I cut them all down to fit to make kind of like a frame. And so I'm just cutting down the middle pieces there, but I had cut the other pieces down to fit, and then I moved on to painting them white as well as that sign. While those were drying, I took my apple barrel paint in the color nutmeg and went over all of those animals. And then I am just using some wood glue and hot glue to adhere those little sticks all around the sign. After that, I went to my Cricut. Now I'm going to show you guys my process, since some of you asked for that. And I am just, I hit the text part and found the font I wanted and typed in the letters. And here I'm just sizing them down to what I wanted them to be. And once I had them sized, I am going to attach and weld. That way they all print out together. Then I hit my Make It button, And then when it comes up to this part, I like to space them out a little bit so I have some room to cut them so that I don't have to try and weed them all together. It just kind of makes weeding a little easier. And so once I have them all lined up the way I want it, I'm going to go in and put my mat in my Cricut and then hit the continue button and hit the start. And then it starts cutting. And then once it was all done, I just cut the pieces apart, and here I am just weeding. Now, I am using the Paper Studio from Hobby Lobby's vinyl, and it's okay. Sometimes it sticks a little bit. That's kind of why I cut that there, because it was pulling up some of the words. And so sometimes it just is easier when you cut it down. Once I had everything weeded, I am just taking my transfer tape and I am going to add the words on. I add eggs onto the chicken, milk onto the cow, and bacon to the pig. Then I took this open daily sign and I put it right in that little spot on that sign, and then the farm fresh. I did later also print out the word closed, and I put it on the back of that little piece there that rotates. I thought it would be kind of fun to do. After I had them all on, I just went and did some dry brushing all around the sign, all around the edge, and then I'm going to do that little piece in the middle that moves. I just kind of move it out and then do distressing all around it, and then push it out the other side so I could get that way too. And then I'm just going to dry brush all around the middle of the words and the signs and everything, just so that it has that rustic farmhouse look. And then after I have that all done, I am going to use some super glue here and hot glue to adhere those animals to my canvases. And then after I am done with that, I am going to take some tumbling tower blocks that I took 5 of them and I painted them white, and I am just hot gluing them to the middle of the frame, I guess you could say. You'll kind of see here in a minute where I laid it, but then I put 2 on top of the side ones, as you can see there, and then I'm just going to hot glue that sign right in place. Just like that. Now, the reason why I did 2 is because I wanted it up a little higher so that I could turn that open daily around. Otherwise, the tumbling tower block was blocking it. So then I just used some of this ribbon to make a hanger. And after that, I'm going to use some raffia, and then I'm going to take a handful of it. I'm going to take some twine and wrap it right around the middle. Just tie a knot. And if it looked too scraggly, I just gave it a little hair trim, and then I just glued it on top, just like you see. And there it is. Yes, this is above my kitchen cabinets. Where else would it go? I love it. Oh my goodness. It's just so cute. So I start off by, I removed the little stickers that were on the back, and then I'm removing the hanger. Then I'm just kind of sanding it and then using my little, what is that, caulking or plaster, something like that, to cover up those holes. Then I painted it with my plaster chalk paint. And while that was drying, I took tumbling tower blocks and I am just hot gluing 2 together. And I think I made 6 or 7 sets. So here I'm taking 2 of those sets, and I am taking 3 of the paint stir sticks that I had cut down. I had taken them out and cut them with my miter saw. And I'm just lining them up where I want them to be on those 2 sets of tumbling tower blocks. And here I'm just marking them so I know exactly where I'm going to lay them. Then I'm going to use some wood glue and some hot glue, and I am going to glue them down. And I did that on all 3 of those slots, as you'll see me do here, which I'm only going to do 2 because I already did 1. Anyways, then I took 3 more of those sets of tumbling tower blocks. I'm going to do the exact same thing.
as I did on this last one. Just going to mark them and use the same kind of glue. Then I took the one with the 3 and I am hot gluing it using hot glue and wood glue to secure it to that first little bottom of the crate. I'm making a crate here, by the way. Then I took another tumbling tower set and hot glued it, to that bottom crate. And then now I'm just adding some more of the stir sticks, and I'm alternating with hot glue and wood glue, and I did both sides. So it's a 3-sided crate. So then I went and I painted it with my plaster chalk paint, and once it was all dry, I'm using wood glue and hot glue, and I am going to glue that house to that crate, just like you see there. And it is open a little bit in the back because it was a little higher than I was expecting it to be, and I wanted you to be able to get a good view of that house. So then I just put that styrofoam in and filled it up with my lavender. And then after that, I realized, oh, I forgot to do my distressing. So I'm just going around with my elephant chalk paint and just distressing all around the house and the crate. And then I did a little distressing around the middle of the house as well. I did kind of have to move my lavender aside there. Then I took this little home sign that came with it, and I am just doing some distressing all around it, in the middle and on the edges, and I decided I was just going to go ahead and use that. And so I'm going to first hot glue some ribbon. Now I got this ribbon at Michael's right before Easter. It was 50% off. I got a whole bunch of ribbon, you guys. They had some beautiful ribbon and I couldn't decide. But anyways, I got this purple striped ribbon, and then I'm going to use some of this black gingham ribbon, and I went over the purple with it, glued it to the back, and then I took that little home sign, added some hot glue, added it to the front, and there it is. I really, really love this one too, of course, because it's got purple in it. But this is another item above my kitchen cabinets. Yes, my kitchen cabinets are full. So I'm going to start off, I used my little finger sander, sanded the edge of the pizza pan, and then I painted it with that crimson color. Then I took my fabric, laid it out, and this is like a screen lid thing you get from Dollar Tree, and it's the exact size of the middle of your pizza pan. So I use that to trace out my material, and then I cut it out. Then I took my Mod Podge. This is fabric Mod Podge, which is much thicker than your regular Mod Podge. And I'm just going all over the middle of that pizza pan, and then I'm going to lay my material down. I kind of had a wrinkle there, so I had to lift it up so I could smooth it all out. And then after I had it all smoothed out, I went over it again with some more of that fabric Mod Podge. Now that fabric Mod Podge does take a little longer to dry because it is so thick. Once I was done with that, I went ahead with my paintbrush, and I am just doing the end of it, and I'm using my ink and making polka dots. Then I went ahead and painted that rooster with my black, or chicken. I don't know if it's a rooster or chicken. I keep calling it a rooster, so we're going to say it's a rooster. And then I took my crimson color and I colored in the comb. And then the other piece that goes down underneath its beak, I can't think of what it's called. You have to let me know because I can't think of what it's called. It's like right there at the edge of my tongue and I can't think of it. Anyways, once those were all painted red, I took my Chalk Couture transfer from that set, and I'm just going to place this on here, and I'm going to use my white chalk paste to stencil in the same. Now, if you want to recreate something like this, don't feel like you have to use Chalk Couture. You could use anything. You could use stickers. You could use rub-on transfers. You could use your Cricut. You could do anything. I actually was looking for a transfer or some stickers, some rub-on transfers to use, but I didn't have anything that went with what I was going with. So I ended up using one of my Chalk Couture transfers. But again, you know, if you don't have Chalk Couture, you could make this your own by just using what you have. So I am decided then I needed to do some more distressing. So I took my white and I went all the way around this chicken, distressed the edges, and then just did a little bit in the middle. And I really feel like it
brings it to life. It just kind of, before it just kind of looked blah. Now it just looks like it has a little more life to it. So that's why I like the distressing. But anyways, once that was done, I took some E6000 here, and then I'm going to take hot glue. I'm going all the way around on the back of that chicken. The E6000 is for permanent hold, and then the hot glue, of course, is for the immediate hold. And I'm going to put that right in the middle of my pizza pan. And you guys, I did wait overnight because it did take a long time for that that fabric Mod Podge to dry. I'm going to use some macrame cord here, and I'm going to go around the inside of my pizza pan and hot glue it in. And I'm making sure I'm running that hot glue along the material more so than the metal. Then I took some, what is this? Chicken wire. I got this chicken wire ribbon from Hobby Lobby a year or two ago. And I actually put two pieces together. You cut two pieces out, and then to make them wider, I connected the two. And then I'm just going around my pizza pan like you see, and I'm just kind of folding the bottom over that edge of the pizza pan. And once I have that all done, and when you work with this stuff, be very careful because it can be sharp. I did cut my finger a little bit, but you know, if you have some gloves you might want to wear with it, but you just want to be careful. I wanted to have some extra support on the back of it. So I took this ribbon here, and I'm just going to hot glue this all around the back side over that chicken wire. And as you can see, I put a lot of hot glue on there, and I let it set for a little bit to really make sure that that ribbon adhered to it. Then I just cut slits in that so that it would just make it easier to hot glue. And I'm just hot gluing all that ribbon in place. Then I took some raffia here, and I am going to stuff this inside of that chicken wire. And I had some little styrofoam eggs I got from Dollar Tree. It was with all the Easter stuff. And I decided to paint some. So I'm using my dusk, my plaster, sandstone, and celery, all by Waverly, and just painted all the eggs. And then I'm just going to lay them inside between the pizza pan and the chicken wire. Now I do end up, some of it is in there pretty snugly, like on the sides, it's snug, pretty snug, but the middle was a little loose. So I did end up hot gluing some of those pieces or those eggs in. Then I took some of this ribbon here, and I'm hot gluing the ends together. I took this ribbon I got from burlapfabric.com. I'll have a link to that in my description box. And then once I had both of those hot glued together, I'm just going to scrunch them up. I'm going to do the red one first. I scrunched it up, and I'm going to tie it with some twine here. And then after that, I'm going to do the same thing with the black and white striped. I'm going to tie it with twine, or I'm going to scrunch it up, and then I'm going to add it to the top part of that bow and tie it with twine. Then I use hot glue and glue that bow right up to the front, and I'm going to glue the hanger to the back. Again, use a stronger, more permanent glue if you're recreating this, but I love how this came out. I love that fabric. I love everything about this. You have to let me know what you think as well. I start off by ripping off the front because I just had to, but I'm really painting the back. After it was all painted, I took this is Crackle Medium from Folk Art, and I thought I would try this instead of the school glue, and it works very similar. You want to put a heavy coat on if you want heavy crackling, a light coat if you want light crackling. You want to avoid going over the same area multiple times. You try to do it, one or two strokes, get it all covered. Now I was a little nervous because there was a lot of bubbles in this, and I'm like, I don't know. Is that going to work? Is this going to work? I was really kind of nervous, but I thought, well, we won't know till we try. This one, we have to wait till it's completely dry to add the paint. With glue, school glue, you can do it while it's wet. So I did use my heat gun to dry the medium, and then I'm adding my paint over it. And the same thing with the paint, you don't want to do many brush strokes. You want to try and just do one coat or one stroke if you can. And I'm just getting as much on there as I can. And look, can you tell it's already starting to crackle? Once it starts drying, it started crackling. So I was feeling pretty positive then. And then I grabbed my heat gun and finished drying it. And I just love the crackle that it made. It came out beautiful. I just love this. I actually love this sign. So I'm taking this transfer and I'm fuzzing it. Now I believe I know they changed the material they use on the transfers. I think they might have changed the adhesive that's on the back of this, because normally if I fuzz something about 5 times, it's perfect. I don't have to worry about any paint pulling up. But since they have changed the material on this, I have noticed that I have paint pulling up more often than I did before. And I always fuzz my transfers. So this pulled up quite a bit of paint. I was a little frustrated, but it still looks really good because it has that old look. But if you have any of these newer transfers, you might want to fuzz it just a little bit more than you normally would to see if that helps, if you have any paint pulling up issues like I just mentioned. Again, if you are new to Chalk Couture, I am a designer, so if you have any questions about it, feel free to email me or comment in the comment box. I'd be happy to tell you about it. But again, this is April's exclusive Club Couture transfer. To be part of the Club Couture, it costs $21.99 a month. You get the exclusive transfer plus 3 coordinating chalk paste that comes with it. And I think it's a great way to get started if you just want to try it out. The one thing is you do have to, if you sign up for it, you do have to sign up for at least 3 months before you can cancel. But after that 3 months, you can cancel and no problem. So, but if you have any questions about it, feel free to ask me. Now, what I did there is I added some paste and then I pulled my transfer up so that the paste doesn't dry on my transfer while I finish it. And then I just finished it there. And you can see some little spots, but I did kind of go over and touch it up a little bit. But I love the way this turned out. Then I took some shipping paper and I am using my glue stick here and I'm just adding that shipping paper to the back of my cutting board. I need to do that to the egg. I forgot to do that to the egg, but after I was all finished with covering up that back part, I am taking some raffia and I am just tying this around the handle. I'm going to tie a knot. I just grabbed some large strands and then I'm going to take some more and I'm going to tie it around the knot and make extra layers, I guess you could say. And you can just do that until it meets your standards or until it makes your eyes happy, as Crafty Lainey would say. Then I took this Farmhouse ribbon from Dollar Tree and I glued it to the top, and I'm going to add some tumbling tower blocks to the back to make a stand. And then we have this adorable little cutting board sign for your kitchen. And yes, I know that bow is upside down. I did go back and fix it later, but you have to let me know what you think about this one as well. So I just put them in a cup and I poured a little bit of my antique wax, not like the last time I tried this. I poured way too much. I stirred up all those half beads there and then I poured them out on my little pad here. And then I just took a paper towel and just wiped off all the extra. And then after I was all done with that, I am going to take some painter's tape. I put them on the painter's tape. I took a small brush here and I'm just doing a dry brushing of the apothecary on top of that. Then I'm going to take these half beads and I'm just going to hot glue them all along the top and the bottom edges of my planter. And I absolutely love the way this planter looks, but I just wanted to, I don't know, make it just a little bit more zhushed up, I guess. I don't know. But once I had it all done, had them all the way around, and I just kind of went in the middle of each of those sections there. Then I decided to go ahead and add some more of this jute cord. So I'm just going to hot glue this all the way around that top rim, and then I jute cord, oh my goodness, I hot glued it all the way around the top part of the bottom rim. And then once those were done, I took my little brush here and my apothecary, and I'm just doing a dry brushing all the way around the middle. Now, my plan was to just do the middle, but then I felt like it needed it on the top and the bottom. So I am just going to go ahead and go around the edge of the top and the bottom. And then I decided, oh, I'm just going to go around the middle too. So I just kind of went a little crazy with it, but I really love the way it came out. It gives it a little bit of color. It still has that rustic look. Anyways, I love it. So then I took the apothecary, and I'm also doing the distressing on this metal. Now, I wish I would have added a little bit of brown to it too. I think that would have looked really good, but I didn't. So, I could always go back and do it, I guess. But anyways, I just went all the way around the base of the candlestick, the stem, and the top part. Then I took my E6000, and I'm going to add some E6000 to part of it and then hot glue to the other. Now make sure if you guys use E6000 and hot glue, you don't want them to touch because it will deactivate it. And then I just held it in place for a little bit. Then I added some hot glue to the bottom of that floral foam, stuck it in my planter, and added some of this greenery from Dollar Tree because, you guys, I cannot keep a plant alive for the life of me. Kathy Jo sent me an aloe plant, and that even died, and I tried so hard. So for me, fake plants is the way to go, and I love this. I hope you do as well. So I'm going to start off by painting both those wood rounds front and back with my plaster. Once they were dry, I took a chip brush from Dollar Tree and my hazelnut, and I am just going and making some cow prints. And you're just going to kind of go up and down, making it doesn't have to be perfect. You just let it be what it is. And you just kind of go all the way around, adding it here and there until my wood round was full and my eyes were happy. Then I took some wood glue here. I'm just putting it all around the back side of my 10-inch wood round, and then I'm going to also add the hot glue, and then we're going to put this right in the middle of the 14-inch wood round, just like you see me doing right there. After that, I took this stencil, and I did fuzz it a few times since it's adhesive, and I've never worked with their adhesive stencils before, so I wasn't sure how strong it was going to be, so I did it to be on the safe side. I laid it down where I wanted it, and I am using my chalk paste here to go over the headband area. And once I had that done, I lifted it up because I don't want my paste to dry on the stencil, so because I don't want it to pull it up. And then I just kind of press down the areas that we're going to be using the brown on, and then I am going to cover the flower as well and do the same thing, bringing it up and then pressing down around it so that that part stays not really on the picture itself, but the rest of the stuff sticks. I hope that makes sense. Then I took the camel, and I am just going to go all the way around this Highland cow with this camel. Now, I was going to do a Highland cow from my Cricut. So if you have a Cricut, they do have designs for Highland cows. If you don't have a Cricut and don't have this stencil, you can probably download a picture and print one out. And use that, or use the carbon paper to transfer it on. You could use a napkin. There's just all kinds of different ways you could add a Highland cow. You just kind of have to get creative. So once I had that all done, I took my howdy sign. I was trying to figure out how to get it to fit, and I decided at an angle was going to fit the best. So I just went over it with my eucalyptus chalk paste as well. Now, you guys, I seriously was trying to decide for this video if I should just do all door hangers or if I should do some other items. So let me know in the comment box below if you would be interested in a video with all door hangers, because I have some ideas. I loved working with wood and wood rounds and door hangers. So let me know if you'd like to see a video like that. So I took some of that braided jute cord and hot glued it around that smaller wood round. And then I'm taking some half beads. I took, I think, 60 half beads, and I think I only used 59, but I just painted them with my apothecary. And then once they were all dry, I'm just going to put wood glue on the bottom and add them all the way around that smaller wood round, and then I let it set overnight. Then the next morning I came in and I'm just going to add some more of that braided jute cord all the way around the 14-inch wood round. And then once I was done with that, you guys, I absolutely love the way this came out. It is so rustic and so fun. I made some holes with my crocodile, but unfortunately I made them side by side instead of top to bottom. So because of that, my bow was going to be crooked. So I just took the end of that zip tie and ran it behind the twine on my bow. And that way it would hold it in place straight. Then I'm just going to add some boxwood greenery and some lamb's ear here. And I'm just going to add them into behind my bow into the zip tie. And then I'm just going to tighten the zip tie to secure that right into place. And then, of course, I cut off the extra and I add some more hydrangeas to the front of that again because I don't have any ribbon to match that color. I need to find some. Then I use my crocodile again to add a couple of holes, and then I'm going to add a hanger. I had to I couldn't use there's 3 different sizes on that crocodile. And I had to use the smaller hole punch because those beads were in the way. So I just used my needle nose pliers to kind of make the hole a little bit bigger so I could pull my twine through the hole. Then I just tied the knots on the end, and we have this beautiful door hanger. I love this. This went to one of my friends back in Oregon. She just loved it, and so I was happy to send it to her. You have to let me know what you think about this in the comment box below. This is the last DIY for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this walk through memory lane. I will be back again on the 1st for the Christmas in July. So stay tuned. And with all that being said, have a blessed week, and I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.